Prasade bhai he bhavaturiya Hare bhai he bhavaturiya Krishna prati ho jaha hote Krishna prati jaha hote Guru mukha padama vakya itete kuriya Guru mukha padama vakya itete kuriya Aruna kori ho mane acha Aruna kori ho mane acha Guru charane ruti ese uttama gati Guru charane ruti ese uttama gati Prasade pure sarva asha Prasade pure sarva asha Purana dilo jame jame prabhu se Purana dilo jame jame prabhu se Divya gyan hriday prakachita Divya gyan hriday prakachita Prema bhakti jate vidya vinasudhape Prema bhakti jate vidya vinasudhape Vere gaya harturita Vere gaya harturita Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Dhammadinara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Dhammadinara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Devana Lokanath Lokera Devana Mahaprabhu Korodaya Deho More Padachaya Mahaprabhu Korodaya Deho More Padachaya Evejas Kusutre Bhuvana Evejas Kusutre Bhuvana Prabhu Korodaya Deha Muri Padachaya Prabhu Korodaya Deha Muri Padachaya Evejas Kusutre Bhuvana Srila Prabhupada Kotita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Atyata Dishutarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Shtotarshtu Shri Shimareshi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Shtotarshtu Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Nuramariti Dham Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga.
Krishna. Looks like everybody went to St. Augustine Rath Yatra except a couple. But in the following tradition, we'll read a little something, and then say Pushkar is going to be giving the class today on Ramananda Roy's conversation with Lord Chaitanya. And I'm going to just read a little from chapter 14 of the Ancha-lila, entitled Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Feelings of Separation from Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 14th chapter. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feelings of separation from Krishna resulted in highly elevated transcendental madness. When he was standing near the Garuda Stamba and prayed to Lord Jagannath, a woman from Orissa put her foot on the Lord's shoulder in her great eagerness to see Lord Jagannath. Govinda chastised her for this, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised her eagerness. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, he was so absorbed in ecstatic love and saw only Krishna. As soon as he perceived this woman, however, his external consciousness immediately returned, and he saw Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also saw Krishna in a dream, and he was so overwhelmed with ecstatic love. When he could no longer see Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared himself to a yogi and described that how yogi was seeing Vrindavan. Sometimes all the transcendental ecstatic symptoms were manifested in him. One night, Govinda and Swarup Damodar noticed that although the three doors of the Lord's room were closed and locked, the Lord was not present inside. Seeing this, Swarup Damodar noticed that although the three doors were locked and the room was closed and locked, the Lord was not present inside. Seeing this, Swarup Damodar and the other two devotees went outside and saw the Lord lying unconscious at the gate known as Shinga Dwara. His body had become unusually long, and the joints of his bones were loose. The devotees gradually brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his senses by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and then took him to the residence. So today, the devotees who assisted Srila Prabhupada in dressing the deities are Shri Shri Radha Shamasundar Mantrini Devi Dasi, Jota Radha Shamasundar Sharla Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Raghunath Das, Jota Krishna Balaram Govinda Sanhidi Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Radha Kata Devi Dasi, Jota Gaurnitai Leela Devi Dasi, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev Vyasini Devi Dasi, and Pushkar Prabhu, who's going to be giving the class today. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihani Madhava, okay, Kunja Bihani Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihani Jaya Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Varadhari Jaya Vijana Balaba Giri Varadhari Jasoda Nandana Bhajajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Nasora Nandana Bhajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanatari Monatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Yasora Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasora Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jai Om Vishnupa Paramahamsa Pri Brajacharya Stratara Satashishi Madeshi Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Macharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gauri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Mathura Vrindavan Ki Mayapur Navadvipam Ki Vrindavan Ki Jai. All glories to Assam devotees. Glories to Assam devotees. All glories to Sandhana devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Dharana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Mahavadibhya Chavisundaraya Tasmayam Mahapremana Sapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Janalamito Bujo Kanika Vadato Sankirtana Kapitaro Kamalaya Takto Ishvambaro Vijabaro Yugadhama Palo Vande Jagat Kirtaro Karunavataro Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Garo Shri Utapatakalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Vaganatam Natam Tam Sijivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamascha He Krishna Kanasindho Dinabandha Jagatade Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavani Shri Shabana Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai Panchaka Putrupascha Kipasunda Devita Titanam Pavani Go Vaishnavi Go Jaitam Surato Pangur Mama Mandamate Gati Matsava Svatadam Duja Radhamadana Mohano Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Maja 8, 167 Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Pratam Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Madhyama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Pratama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Madhyama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Pratama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Madhyama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Pratama Karunyamrita Dharaya Snana Madhyama Anything else? Karunya Amrita of the nectar of mercy Dharaya in the shower Snana, bath, pratam, first, Karunya Amrita, of the nectar of youth, Dharaya, in the shower, Snan, bath, Madhyama, in the middle. Translation. Srimati Radharani takes her first bath in the shower of the nectar of compassion, and she takes her second bath in the nectar of youth. Purport. Srimati Radharani first smears her body with the paste of affection for Krishna. She then takes her bath in the water of mercy. After passing the Poganda age from 5 to 10 years, Srimati Radharani first appears as mercy. The second bath, taken at noon, is taken in the water of Tarunyamrita, or the nectar of youth. This is the actual expression of her new youthfulness. Om Gyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Shilakaya Chakshuramritam Jena Tasmai Shri Grave Namah Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangalam Tegri Yakipa Tamam Bande Shri Gurum Dinatam Karunyamrita Daraya Snana Pratama Tarunyamrita Daraya Snana Madhyama. Srimati Radharani takes her first bath in the shower of the nectar of compassion. She takes her second bath in the nectar of youth. So all these things are known as Amrita, all these baths. Although she is Tarunya, the nectar, she's bathing in the nectar of youth. First she's bathing in the Karunamrita, the nectar of mercy. So what is that nectar bathing of mercy? That's something that we have to think about for a couple of days. Karun Mai, Karuna Bharite. Rupa Goswami, he has this song. Prabhupada actually sang the song on one recording. Madhava Gayate. She's very dear to Madhava, Radha Madhava, Kunja Vihari. And some of the qualities are mentioned. Sanaka, Sananda, Charita, Varnita, Charita, Varnita. All great sages, they chant Rupa Goswami citing these particular sages. The 4 Kumaras, and that generally we don't think the 4 Kumaras have some relation with Radharani, but there it's described. Whatever they're speaking, glorification of the mercy of Radharani. Karun Bharite means she's full of mercy. And Krishna is also full of mercy. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho. Tarun Smarata Taruni. In another verse where Kaviraj Goswami in the Govinda Lilamrita, he's describing Smarata Taruni Mana. Smarata Taruni Mana. Haridorargala. That Krishna's Kaviraj has written some of the most exalted poetry. He's kind of like taking it easy here in the Bengali, but in the Govinda Lilamrita, which he himself has several times cited, his own book, it's a very advanced Sanskrit grammar and poetics, which is like the kind of thing that don't try this at home. Nobody can do that. Rupa Goswami, Krishna's Kaviraj, and such great poets like have tried to, even then, that Krishna's Kaviraj is saying, I heard this from Raghunath Das. He heard it from Sri Rupa Damodar, who was there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What did they hear? What is this? This is the Parampara. What we're getting is Parampara. Exactly now, Krishna's Kaviraj is still speaking here today, and whatever he heard hasn't been tampered with. Was he intelligent enough to get it right? Probably. Seems like it. And he Was he great poet? He's Krishna's Kaviraj. He's the Raj of the Kavis. He's the king of the poets. How many great devotees were there in Vrindavan? Many. Haridas. He described Haridas Pandit as fountainhead of all good qualities. The Govindaji Mandir, and so many devotees were still there, some of whom were directly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Still, they requested that Kaviraj Goswami should write all these pastimes. And he said, I can only give some. I didn't even understand all of them. He heard from Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das was there. Not only he was there in Swarup Damodar and he heard it, but he actually saw it. Swarupera Raghu. But because Raghunath is, he is under the care of Swarup Damodar. And then, unless, Kaviraj says, unless we heard it from Swarup Damodar, then nobody else understood it. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasmana. All these things in Arpita Chirin Chira Kurunavatir Nikalo. We're getting them from the greatest personalities, Rupa Goswami, Swarup, Haha Swarup, Sanatan. Where are they? We feel some separation. So, this is Radharani's feeling, the separation of Krishna. Of course, in the spiritual world, we don't really understand what Radharani's feeling so much, because we're insignificant persons. However, Prabhupada explained that in this material world, our greatest hope is that we should enter into this Vipralamba Seva that Radharani is feeling. So when it says she's full of mercy, we have to get the mercy. Hey Radhe, Rajadevike, Chalalite, Hey Nanda Suno Kuta. Like 6 Goswamis, Srinivasacharya is telling us that the Prabhupada is saying, they're not always saying they're feeling the separation. Not that Radharani is there and they're happy, no. They're running there. Hey Radhe Vajadeviki Chana. Hey Nanda. Mahavi Balo. They're mad with separation of Krishna. That is all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing many times. Hey Murali Vadana. Where's the flute player curved in 3 places? Tribanga. Tribang Galalitam. Shamam Tribang Galalitam. It's always manifesting like that. He's always manifesting, but he's achintya. Achintya Rupa Guna Swarupam. His form is Atakshi Krishna Namadi. We're tongue-tied. We cannot describe it. We want to see it again and again. If I just get a glimpse, Mahaprabhu's saying also, if I just get just one more tiny fraction of a second, if I can see Krishna, then that moment, that tiny fragment of a second, I will decorate that moment with all kinds of jewels. I will worship that moment with sandalwood paste and jewels and garlands and that very moment that I can see Krishna. And he was also chanting these slokas from Krishna Karnamrita that Bilvamangala Thakur, even he was an ordinary living entity, it is said, ordinary living entity, but he achieved such great realization of Radha Krishna and the dealings of the gopis that his songs and the Krishna Karnamrita, he has other songs, but especially Krishna Karnamrita, the Amrita, this is Tarunamrita, Karunyamrita, Karnamrita, everything is Amrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's no death. Amrita means, mritu means death. And no, there's no death to that nectar. No, it's not. It cannot be nectar if there's death, if it's temporary. So this Karnamrita cover that Bilvamanala Thakur spoke, sung, wrote, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is hearing that all the time from his associates, and he's chanting also. Hey Kurunayaka Sindho, one of the verses says, Hey Nayana Abhirama, Hey Kurunayaka Sindho, Hey Bhuvanayaka Bandhu, you are the supreme ocean of mercy, Kurunayaka. Where are you? So this is how Radharani is part of that. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to show and demonstrate and experience. Mahima, the glories of this. Anubhav, the realization of it. Madhurima, the sweetness of that. He's come to experience it and at the same time to distribute this to one and all. Rag Marg. Ujvala Rasa, Sabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundara. He's golden. Anta Krishna. Bahir Gauram. He's golden outside, Bahir Gauram, but within he's Krishna. Come to experience it. He's so great, Mahima. Who can imagine? Atava bahunaitena kim gyatena tavarjuna. Ishtabhyahamidam Krishnam ekangsena. Ekangsena with a tiny fragment of himself. Eka, one little angsa ena. Ekangsena stito jagat. All the universes are maintained. He doesn't have to do anything. Sarvata panipadam tak sarvato. He's got hands and legs everywhere. Why should he bother? He doesn't. He's simply enjoying Radharani. But this is their enjoyment, that they're enjoying, and then sometimes Radharani is disappearing, Krishna's disappearing. They're feeling some great separation. And then the Sakis and Manjaris, they're making some of the cowherd boy, they're making some arrangement that they'll meet. They're describing them, they're creating some kind of diplomacy, transcendental politics, and presenting so many gifts and letters. This is what's going on in the spiritual world. Here is simply perverted, just like Taruni. Taruni means young girls. So she takes her shower in the nectar, her next shower in a Taruni. Although she's already the emblem of youth, she has the 26 qualities of Radharani, we know. We don't know, we may know. But there's so many. Unlimited. One of them is this, ever youthful. She's already ever youthful, but what is this bathing? She's bathing still in the nectar of youth. She's bathing and she wants to bathe in the Krishna bath. They're coming together in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we're seeing this separation and meeting, separation. Sometimes Mahaprabhu is running out. We heard that, I think, this morning. Srup Damodar and Ramananda Roy are speaking, just heard it, right? Speaking with Mahaprabhu and enhancing his mood of separation or his mood of meeting. And he's exhibiting all these symptoms of being stung, just like Radharani. Before that, who would know of these pastimes? Bilva Mangala exhibited some pastimes, of course. Other great devotees were there. But before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us, gave us all, he spoke he spoke so many things. He only wrote some verses. But within these 8 verses, Bijanam, seed. He said, I am the seed of all existences. Bijam Tadaham Arjuna. So, because he's Krishna himself, within 8 verses, like the Shikshastakam, can create just like the banyan tree, or the seed of the banyan tree. There are so many unlimited banyan trees in that one those little teeny seeds. A huge banyan tree. In Calcutta, there's one banyan tree like 2 miles different parts of the world, the banyan tree. No one never dies, actually, hardly. It just keeps going on and on. Some banyan tree could have been there for thousands of millions of years. We don't know. So, because from that tiny seed. So because he's Mahaprabhu, Shikshartameka Purusha Purana, he's the original teacher, and no one should feel that, oh, he only sometimes when we first hear that, well, Chaitanya only wrote these 8 verses. But within the 8 verses, then we have so much literature. And what he spoke, we don't know exactly. We can get an idea what he spoke to Rupa, Sanatan, what Raghunath Das heard. So that we're experiencing here. It's not different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana. He's the original, oldest person, and he's giving these teachings. So, Prabhupada once he quoted this Vridhaya Taruna Bharya, this Taruni, just to show the contrast. When someone is old, and who is not getting old, cannot enjoy anymore Taruni, young girls. Even his wife, Bharya, is young. If he's old, he cannot enjoy Vridha Bhava. He's finished. So, but everyone's after this enjoyment of Taruni. Radharani is showing that she's the original. She is the original young girl. But in this material world, everyone's chasing after that. Prabhupada quoted that Shankaracharya verse where Balastavad Kriya Shakta. Bala, that the small boy, Prahlad Maharaj has those teachings. That as a boy, first 10, 20 years, they wasted their life. So Prabhupada quoted that. Tarani Shakta. The young boys are chasing the young girls. Rupa Goswami says, Yuvati nam yata yoni yuvam cha yuvati manobhiramate. He said, when will my mind naturally flow after Krishna? Just like the young boy runs after the young girl. He's giving that aspiration. So, tapasa brahmacharyena. In order to understand this tattva of separation and this beauty, the ocean of beauty or the bath of nectar of youth and compassion, one has to be done with all aspirations to enjoy in this material world. That's the tragic irony. The more one gives up, Pavanani Manishinam, even the wise man doesn't give up Yagyadana Tapa. But that Tapa, Tapasa Brahmacharyena, Brahmacharya is the main one mentioned, Tapasa Brahmacharyena. Tapo Dibyam Putraka Yena Sattvam Shudyad Brahmasokyam. So one wants to understand this Ananta, Sukham Anantam, unlimited happiness, Yoginam Sukham Uttamam, then his senses have to be completely controlled. It's not a cheap thing, in other words. Prabhupada was stressing this. He gave a few lectures on Radhastami, about Radharani, very conservative, not every day speaking. Even Krishna's Kaviraj says these things shouldn't be spoken in public, everywhere, to the general mass of people, new devotees. So, first thing is, no matter how great a person came to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he would send him to wash pots or work in a goshala or something like that. Unless one develops this state of mind, like Kaviraj Goswami, that he says, Jagai Madai Hoite Mui Se, but I'm more sinful than Jagai Madai. If one has that steady mentality, so renounced, like Gopal Bhatta or Prabodhananda Saraswati, they admonished Kaviraj Goswami, don't mention my name in your book. Somehow they knew. They thought they knew that this book, he's writing a whole book about Lord Chaitanya, but I am not qualified. Don't even mention my name. But Kaviraj Goswami also felt that way. He didn't want any popularity. This is like the stool of a boar, a pig. Pulushya, what is that? Bhishta. Bhaktisiddhanta says, our desire for fame, notoriety, profit, fame, distinction, just like the stool of a hog. And our talking, other than Krishna topics, asabhaya, he describes just like the trickling urine of a donkey, mule, something like that. So, very descriptive, very clear cut things to avoid. As soon as we nirmamo nirahankara, because a devotee is also karuna. Maitra karuna evacha advaishta sarva. When Krishna gives the qualifications of pure devotees in 12th chapter of Gita, advaishta, he's not envious. Sarvabhutana, so nobody is not envious no matter what is going on. Doesn't hate anyone, good or bad. Advaishta sarvabhutana maitra, he's friendly with everyone. Karuna, and merciful. So, without exhibiting those things, without feeling those things, then it's difficult to get the mercy of Radharani. And if we're getting the mercy, then we want to spread that mercy also. Just like devotees are going out today on Harinam, just to spread this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jive Dvaya, Krishna Nam, Sarva Dharma Shar. Dvaya, Dayate, Parama Karuna, the Supreme, Nitai Gora Cham. So this mercy is manifesting through the devotees. Kaviraj Goswami, he's gotten the mercy, pure mercy, incredible. He can compose this Chaitanya Charitamrita almost directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Raghunath Das, Rup Damodar. But one doesn't jump over. Tadira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas. Janame Janame Hoy. Mora Panchagras also. The dust of these 6 Goswamis, Narottam Das says, E Karunakar, show me that mercy now. He's saying, he's praying to Nityananda especially, show me that mercy now. Brajendra Nandana Jay, Sutta Juta, Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta. You're standing there before me with Radha Krishna, Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta. She's the embodiment of mercy. He's praying to Radharani that way also. Nitai Karuna, Radha Krishna. If we want to get that, then we have to also enter into, so Nitai, he's the embodiment of the Acharya, the Guru. We want to get the mercy from Nityananda to get to Radha Krishna. Gauranga bolite habe, pulaka sharir. How do you do it? Charya. Vishaya charya. One has to give up sense gratification. If he wants to understand, have the full realization of this spiritual sense gratification being described in these pages, then we have to give up mundane sense gratification. So this is the first shower, Daraya. Karunyam Nitya Daraya Snam Partam, the first bath, and then Madhyam means the middle one, or second one, because there's more of them. Tarunyam Nitya Daraya Snana Madhyama. Radharani first appears as mercy after passing 5 to 10 years. In the second bath at noon, taken in the water of Tarunyamrita, the nectar of youth. Then later on she puts on shakes another bath. Next week she'll take another bath. Next Saturday. Actually, Radharani is enjoying all this bathing all the time. This is the conversation between Ramananda Roy, and he is an intimate associate of Radharani. And so he understands that he's speaking with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is speaking. He's just like he's the gardener. He's enjoying the fruits. He's the tree that waters the tree. He's the gardener that waters the tree, but he is also the tree. Similarly, although Ramananda Roy is speaking, he's continually saying, but I'm not speaking. How can I speak this? He was already the most advanced person, but even he said, whoever thought of these things? No one ever thought of this. So this is being enacted completely on the internal platform, this conversation with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we're getting to hear it, the greatest fortune. This is Karuna, Parama Karuna. And Sukadeva Goswami, he's a manifestation of that mercy. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, it's described there that Karuna Purana Guyam, out of mercy for those persons in this material world. Samsarinam Karunaya Purana Guyam, who's in this wheel of birth and death, that Sukadeva Goswami is narrated, spoken, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Purana Guhyam. It's very intimate, hidden, Rahasyam Guhyam Uttamam. Very intimate, secret. It's a secret, most secret of all secrets. At the same time, it's public. Manushanam Saha, but people don't understand it. Manushanam, so many persons trying for perfection, still, Manushanam Sahasve, Kaschid Yatadisi, Yatatamapi Siddhanam, Kaschanmam. Only somebody, Kaschan, someone might understand. Kachit Kevalaya, Kachit Kevalaya Bhaktya, Vasudeva Parayana. Only some rare person will understand it. Still, we're giving to everybody. They may not fully understand. They'll get something just by hearing. Pashu Paki Jare, Pasana Bidare. Even the stones are melting when they hear the holy name, and especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chanting, he's going in the forest, even the animals are chanting. Therefore, at least we can get the human beings to chant. So, although a rare person may understand it, it's a selling point. It's a selling point that someone may think, oh, I'm a rare person. Durlabha manasam janma atato brahma jigyasa. This human form is meant to ask about what is this, not just, Prabhupada was describing storing, stores, shopping and storing. Very funny. Everyone's in the mall. Nowadays they're just online buying, but Christmas I was at the mall for some reason. I guess I was seeing my daughter at the mall. So. And there was people going out of business. I was getting a good deal. But that's what they're doing. I hadn't been to Oaks Mall and try to stay away from that place. But Prabhupada described it as shopping and storing. Yeah. The store is storing it, selling it, and you're taking it and store. So they're storing. Atyahara prayashas cha. These are 6 good ways to give up Krishna consciousness. Eating, collecting, atyahara prayashas, endeavoring too much materially. Rupa Goswami telling us very simply, atyahara prayashas prajalpo niyamagraha. Not following the rules, following them too closely. You don't find too many people following them too closely, that I've noticed. Mostly they're not following. Gurora Vagya Shuti Shastra Nindanam Tatartavada Harinam Nikalpanam. The one verse from the Padma Purana describes the 4 of the aparadha. One of them, the first one, Gurora Vagya, not following what the Guru says. That we find pretty common. Kurora Bhagya Shruti Shastra Nindana, blaspheming the Shastras. Tatarthavada. So these are all aparad. If we want to stay away from Radharani, then we can very nicely perform all the aparads. Better if we know the Sanskrit, then we can follow them more closely, or not follow them. So that's why it's called aparad. Anayaradito nunam Bhagavan Haririshvara. So Radharani's name is there in Bhagavatam, and because she worships Krishna the best, the greatest. And the more aparads we perform, of course we don't think about that too much. We just try to do the positive, then automatically we don't do the negative. If your glass is filled with milk, then you won't necessarily want to drink ink or poison or something. If you're enjoying the Amrita, Paramam Amritam, Jivanam Bhushanam Me, Rupa Goswami, in his Namastakam, he's describing the holy name as Paramam Amritam. Maybe it's Sanatana Goswami. Paramam Amritam. It's also the supreme nectar. Paramam Amritam. Jivanam. It is my life. The supreme. Paramam. Bhushanam. The supreme jewel. Nana Ratnam Nibadha Mula Vitapa Shiyukta Vrindavani. Vrindavan is all full of jewels underneath the trees everywhere. The leaves are like jewels, all the flowers, and what the water is like nectar. Toyam Amritam. The Toyam Amritam. Katam Nacham Gananam. All the walking, all the moving is dancing. Katyam Nacham Gamanam. And all the water is like nectar. It's not like... I still remember when I went to Kathmandu and I tasted that water out of the tap. And all those devotees were laughing because I kept... There was a sink. I just said, I'll get some water. I just flew up from somewhere in India and I'd just never been to Kathmandu and I drank the water. But it was so good, it's like I'd never tasted water or something. It was directly out of the Himalayas. So water is already like nectar, but in the spiritual world, I mean the real water, if you get some of that type of water, Himalayan water. But in the spiritual world, they're saying that the water is like nectar, but even in the material world, Krishna says, I am that water. But nowadays, people are just crawling on, for 300 miles, digging 30, 40 feet to get some water if they can get it. Because in Kali Yuga, things are decreasing, many things. But the spiritual world, there, Nandam Buddhivardhanam Patibadam Purnamrita. It's the Purnamrita also, full nectar. Purnamrita Svadhanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says he wants to taste this full nectar. He's already tasting. He's not only tasting, but he's asvadyan bhaktan. He's tasting and the bhaktas are all tasting. Whoever comes in contact with him, they'll taste it also. He's the Purnamrita Svadhanam, the nectar we always want to taste. Just like if we can chant Chaita Darbana Marjanam 50 times a day. You never get tired of chanting the verses because they're the full nectar. Chaita Darbana Marjanam Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shekarava Chandrika Vitalanam Vidavadu Jivanam. There's Darpanam Jivanam, Amritam. 8 verses, but good ones. So he's demonstrating over and over here in these verses, in the Astaka, and everywhere, that there's Amrita, this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chintyatam bhaktas Chaitanya Charitamritam. Krishna's Kaviraj in one verse says, think again and again, O bhaktas, of this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Again and again, always think of it. Always chant it, speak it. because it's definitely the Amrita. Amritat vaya kalpate, yang hi navyatyante te purusham purusharshava samaduka sukham dhiram. So Amritat vaya kalpate. Amrita. One wants the Amrita, then he has to be transcendental to the upheavals of the material world. Sama, equal to dukkha, sukha. Sukhe dukkhe bolo nako. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, always chant happiness. Whether you're in a household life or you're in the forest, wherever you are, you're miserable or you're happy, then he said you always have to sukhe dukkhe. Chant the holy name. Sukhe dukkhe bala bulo. Don't forget chanting Hare Krishna. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has full experience. He's the Acharya. Who can be more Acharya than that? That Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written hundreds and hundreds of songs of full realization of Radha Krishna Bola 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 Re Sobai. He said, E Matra Bika Chai. I'm not begging anything. I'm begging only one thing. That you come with me, give up all your nonsense, and chant Radha Krishna Bola 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 Re Sobai. So that's what's going on in these books, this verses. Yeah. Conversation, questions.
The word for word, it was mercy, and in the translation, it's compassion. So are they the same? Or
probably, if it's given like that.
Who's the mercy and the compassion demonstrated for? What are some examples of what it's referring to? It seems like it's an analogy to taking a shower and mercy and bath.
Well, I wouldn't take it like a mundane thing or any kind of literal thing, but yeah, it's a supreme poetics, just like what's demonstrated. I mean, it was demonstrated, all our acharyas I just mentioned, they're all demonstrating it.
So the mercies towards living entities?
It manifests like that, but yeah, of course. But at the same time, there's so much, it's an ocean. The ocean of milk, the milk ocean, that Radharani's born from the milk ocean of Vrishabhanu. She's already been born from this Navashashi Lake. She's the moon. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also the moon. And he's also using the moon. So there's so many demonstrations. Any mercy, of course there's some mundane mercy. It's all a tiny fraction of Radharani's mercy. But Prabhupada was describing the mercy, mundane mercy, just like tap water or rusty tap water. Of course, I made that more extreme, the rusty little drop coming out. Someone was once describing that they were in some hotel room in Moscow, and they turned on the water, and there's a few little drops of rusty water. I mean, it happens anywhere in India. But it could happen here. Here it's even better. You can get flames coming out after they fracture land or something. But so this is also some type of tiny. Prabhupada said, don't take this tap water mercy. Take the ocean of mercy, flood of mercy. Float in the ocean of mercy. But so that's also sarvabhutete rata. Krishna says in the 12th chapter also that after many, many births of, if you're an impersonalist and you do many, many births of pious activity, sarvabhutete rata means hite, looking out for the welfare of all living entities, doing altruism and so many things. After so many births, then Vahanam Janmanamanti, then you'll realize Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is everything. And you go one step further to understand that you can't approach Krishna without approaching Radharani. You can't approach Radharani directly, therefore we have to approach the merciful spiritual master. Therefore we praise the spiritual master, that he's samsara davanali tanaya karanyagana praptasya kalyanagana navas. He is distributing, he's like the cloud distributing from the ocean of mercy. What was that verse? Samsara Dara Nalalila Tranaya Karunya. Same word, Karunya Ganan. Yeah. So we have to appeal to the spiritual, the guru, otherwise we can't jump over, we'll never understand it, because we don't see a demonstration of it, we don't get it directly. Somebody may, some great personality, but even Gadadhar, even Lord Chaitanya showing the example of accepting the spiritual master, praising the spiritual master. Guru Mori Morka Deki Karila, my spiritual master chastised me. Shashan. Shash Dhatu, the Shastra. If one doesn't accept the Shastra, then he has to accept the Shastra, which is a weapon. What is that weapon? There's so many weapons. Material energy is described by Narad Muni as a revolving, in the sixth canto, the revolving razor blade or thunderbolts. But we'll get that. If one doesn't accept Chaitanya Danda, if he accepts it, the chastisement or the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Vaikuntha Loke guy, he goes to Vaikuntha. Otherwise, he goes to Yamaraj. It's described in Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Karun Mai. There's one verse, I actually scribbled it down, memorized it, but it's a great verse. It says, Anena Durbasana Dukadashana, no? Sakaruna Maya Karunam Karotu. The devotee is praying, I don't know, it's quoted in the 11th canto purport. Anena Durbasana Dukadashanam, when one sees darshanam, the misery of this material world, the devotee is praying that he'll actually see it and accept it as karuna, mercy. Karuna maya karunam karotu. When will I see the miseries of this material world as the mercy of